Welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is our Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and some of the key questions we're going to be answering about that team in our August 16th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood. And today, Dan, we are going to be taking a look at the Cross Plains Buffaloes.
Yeah, and this is a program that has become a very competitive one under Coach Daniel Purvis, and they've got a good group back with hopes of maybe taking another step forward. 9 starters returning on offense, 7 on defense, among 16 total returning lettermen. They only lost 4 from last year's team. Got a big group. This is a team I think has an opportunity to make some noise there, but they do have some question marks to answer, and we'll just start right off the bat with the big one, and that's at the quarterback position where they return a guy who's in his 3rd year as at least a part-time starter in Cade Purvis. And one of the big questions that I'm excited to see answered is kind of the progression that he makes. He had a good, solid sophomore season last year. This year with some holes at the skill positions, I think he's going to have to take another step forward. The question I have for him is, can he do that?
One of the burning questions I've got about Cross Plains is depth. They've got 16 returning lettermen, but they also have 16 returning starters, and that means a lot of two-way players. Coach Purvis, I'm sure, would like to develop some depth to alleviate some of that and get some kids some breather every now and then. Otherwise, I mean, every time you have an injury, you lose 2 players instead of 1. And so that really puts you in a precarious situation. Cross Plains needs to develop depth. Can they do it? That's going to be a key.
Yeah, and I think that's something just with the enrollment numbers that Cross Plains has. That's just an annual issue that they deal with. But yeah, I think you're right. That is a big question. Good thing last year did have a JV, went 5-3 at that bunch. They've got some kids coming up. That'll be interesting. One other question going forward that I have, and I've kind of touched on it with number one when I was talking about Purvis, is they do need to develop some playmakers. They've got a good, very experienced, very big line on both sides of the football. The question is kind of the skill positions this year. Last year it was kind of the opposite, where they had the size, but it was youthful size on the lines. This year it's going to be the opposite. Got the big lines, experienced lines. They're going to have to fill some holes at the skill positions on both sides of the football. Who are going to be their playmakers?
All right, and with that, we're going to jump into Cross Plains 2023 schedule. The non-district portion of the schedule, I think, is very equitable for a team that's, searching for some from skill personnel and trying to develop depth, get some players some playing time. I think that this is a non-district portion that affords them the opportunity to get some wins and maybe build some depth along the way. I like this non-district schedule. They start with Winters at home on August the 25th, a road date at De Leon, a home date with Heiko on the 8th of September, a road date at Junction, and then they wrap up the non-district portion at Roscoe with a non-district game against Smyre on the 21st.
And then they have their open date on the 29th before kicking off district with some really heavy games right out of the gate. At home against Roscoe on October 6th, at home against Albany on October 13th. Then they go on the road to finish their district slate at Hamlin on the 20th of October, at Abilene TLCA on the 27th, and then wrap up at Miles on November 3rd. So that schedule, it's kind of bookended. You've got Roscoe and Albany right off the bat, a tough Miles team on the road to finish up, and that's going to kind of decide how they do this year. But yeah, good looking schedule. I think you mentioned just kind of a fair non-district schedule, goes right into the district schedule. I think will be a little bit tougher for them. So it should be an interesting road.
Before we wrap up the Countdown to Two-A-Days series for tonight, we want to remind you to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Click on that, and then when you see the little bell, click on that too. That way you'll get some notifications each and every time that we come up with a new podcast, and it'll be a great way for you to follow along with the Countdown to Two-A-Days series this summer.
We'd also like to remind you one more time to be on the lookout for our preseason football preview, which will come out on August 16th. There's going to be a ton of information, features, previews, predictions. If you want to get ready for the season, that is a great way to do it. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you join us again tomorrow when we will be featuring the Hamlin Pied Pipers here at BigCountryPreps.com.